James Van Der Zee was known as a prominent figure in the 1920s during the Harlem Renaissance era for his aesthetic of taking photographs of African Americans that advocated for racial advancement. Van Der Zee was born on June 29, 1886 in Leonox, Massachusetts. Growing up in a family where music and creative art are important, Van Der Zee experimented with many musical instruments and forms of art to find out that photography was what interested him the most. With his close-knit family always supporting him, his family backed James' aspirations to become a photographer. To acquire a camera, Van Der Zee sold his own personal items to compile enough money to appease his new hobby. The photographer began his career by taking pictures of his fifth grade class and portraits of his family. Van Der Zee soon moved to New York with his father for the surplus of opportunities the big city had to offer. Prior to the opening of the photographer's first studio in Harlem, Van Der Zee worked as an elevator operator and waited tables. For his mode of embellishing the image of African Americans in his photographs, Van Der Zee became a well-known artist during the Harlem Renaissance. In a photograph titled "A Couple in Raccoon Coats," taken by Van Der Zee in 1932, subsequently exploits the dynamic identity of African Americans by picturing a costly automobile and an African American couple wearing fur coats, drawing inferences to the elegance and superiority of the race. Contributing to the artistic success in the Harlem Renaissance, Van Der Zee aimed to uplift his race in his photographs by implementing luxury items and using various effects and props. Helping to blossom the African American culture, the Harlem Renaissance assisted in blurring the lines between poor and elite African Americans in Harlem. Van Der Zee's photographs produced a successful image for black people in the 1920s. His images socially mobilized the race by just documenting the everyday life of Harlem natives. In a quote by Van Der Zee, he says, "I tried to see that every picture was better looking than the person, striving to express his camera subjects in the most expressive means possible." Van Der Zee's photographs of African Americans challenged prevalent white stereotypes. In the photograph, a member of Garvey's African Legion with his family, Van Der Zee caters to the idea of the new Negro by posing subjects in military uniforms to portray economic prosperity through fashion trends and political affiliations. Concerning the Harlem Mind exposition programmed by the Metropolitan Museum of Art, Harlemites were unsatisfied with the exhibition for not displaying the artistic prowess of Harlem artists. Not displaying the works of Harlem artists makes the gallery just a sociological portrayal of the Harlem community. During an era when photography status was iffy, the curators who put together the event eschewed from incorporating meaningful art. Another gallery such as Painting's sophistication of African American achievements during the Harlem Renaissance to light. Believe that African Americans should be able to find and present themselves in a manner they would like to be seen, rather than soliciting for representation. Along with developing an identity for African Americans, Locke encouraged the idea of the Great Migration for all black people to move to New York for the array of opportunities and increased chances for prosperity. In an article by Russell White called James Van Der Zee's New Negro Vision, the author describes Van Der Zee's photographs as a public challenge to the dominant stereotypes of the black body, reinforcing a sense of dignity that was perpetually being assaulted. Concerning Van Der Zee's commitment to photography, Van Der Zee makes a constant effort to beautify subjects to uphold racial improvement. By reflecting on what is around him, Van Der Zee efficiently established a flourishing community of Harlem within his photographs. The main focal point of artistic representation during the 19th century and the Harlem Renaissance was to make African Americans socially visible. Even though photography slowly faded away with the new rise of technological innovations which affected Van Der Zee's career, the photographer reached new heights of success and prosperity for his race. James Van Der Zee will forever be known as not just only a contributor to the Harlem Renaissance, but responsible for creating the era.